Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Ward 4 City Hall Community Meeting. My name is Christine McNulty. I'm the city's Community Engagement Specialist. Before we begin, I'd like to note that bathrooms are by the entrance of the cafeteria. Pizza and refreshments are in the back of the room, and copies of tonight's slide deck can be found at this table right over here. And at this time, I'd like to invite Ward Councilor Jesse Klingon up. Yeah. I know,
Thank you, everybody. Welcome to this the Ward 4 community meeting. It's good to see you all here. It's funny because I wish we had this weather for our slice of the city. Every time we've had slice of the city, it's been really crappy. We've had to move indoors. But thank you for joining us on this nice evening. I am your Ward 4 Councilor, City Councilor Jesse Klingon. I am happy to be here. I could give updates on things, but that's what you're here to hear. That's what you're here for. So they're going to give a great update on 299 Broadway, which I know everybody's always interested in. I'm here to listen to your feedback. I know there's a lot of construction right up in this area, Moreland Street. There's a lot of detours. There's some National Grid work. I think somebody from the city can speak to that so you understand what's happening and why it's happening. That we're trying to get them to get their work done so the city can get some work, important work that it needs to get done. So there's, we're here for answers, to answer your questions. With that, I'm going to turn it over. It's my honor to introduce to you your current mayor, Mayor Tatiana Ballantyne, who has been fighting for us on many fronts for a long time, especially against this presidential administration. So I want to thank her. I hope everyone will join me in a round of applause for her and thank her for her service to this community. And with that, Mayor Ballantyne. Oh, sorry. My bad. It's been a while. So it's my honor to let you know who we have in the room here as elected officials. We have City Councilor at Large Jake Wilson. We have City Councilor at Large Will Emba, and City Councilor at Large Willie Burnley Jr., City Councilor at Large Kristen Strezzo, and that's all of your at-large councilors. So with that, I will turn it back over. But again, let's give one more round of applause to the mayor, because that felt thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilor. So for the meeting format tonight, after each presentation, we will take 2 initial questions. We have a microphone available for audience questions, so please raise your hand and wait for the microphone before asking your question. If we don't get to your question initially, please hold on to it, because at the end of all presentations, we will open up into a general Q&A. Please note that I will do my best to give everyone the opportunity to ask a question, and I will do my best to prioritize audience members who have not yet spoken during the Q&A segments. And if we don't get to your question at all tonight, you can email cm@somervillema.gov, and we can direct your comment or question to the appropriate department. Tonight's meeting is being recorded, and meeting recordings will be available online at the conclusion of our meeting series and posted on the CTV government YouTube channel. So with that, I have a few quick city updates before we dive into the main presentations. Perfect. So for surveys, the City of Somerville is planning to build a new PK through 8 school building, and the Construction Advisory Group, Mayor Ballantyne, and Somerville Public Schools want to hear from you. The survey is open until Monday, September 22nd, until 11:59 p.m. You can find it by scanning this QR code here on the left, or by visiting somervillema.gov/new PK-8. The Somerville Library Strategic Planning Survey is also open until Friday, October 10th. Please, you can fill out the survey by scanning this QR code on the right, or by visiting somervillepubliclibrary.org. A reminder that Somerville's municipal election will take place Tuesday, November 4th. On this slide are various deadlines for registering to vote, submitting vote-by-mail applications, as well as blue box locations for dropping off vote-by-mail ballots. For all election information, please visit somervillema.gov/elections. And I would like to make a quick plug that the Elections Department is looking for poll workers. Poll workers make $240 for working the day of the election. You can email hradmin@somervillema.gov to apply. And if you have any questions, our wonderful elections commissioner, Nick Salerno, is here, and can answer any questions for anyone that's interested in being a poll worker. This summer, we opened a new park after Ken Kelly, a local Union Square entrepreneur and changemaker at 217 Somerville Ave. Please pay the park a visit when you're in Union Square. And this fall, we will be opening Somerville Junction Park along the community path, which is currently finishing up construction. Our Department of Public Space and Urban Forestry, in partnership with the Somerville Commission for Persons with Disabilities, is installing 10 inclusive swings, raising the percentage of playgrounds with inclusive swings to 89%. The new swings will have a hard yoke, so if you or somebody you know is a caretaker of a child that requires a soft harness, please find someone from the PSUF team after the presentation. Can the PSUF staffers, if you're looking for a soft harness, you can talk to Louisa in the back. In collaboration with the Mobility, Parking, and Fire Department, the Engineering Division has been improving traffic signals throughout the city. In particular, we are executing a key goal of the administration's fiscal year 26 budget to upgrade our traffic signals with a location-based emergency vehicle preemption system. Accessibility is equally important, and we are in the process of installing 200 accessible crossing signs with the street name and raised text and braille. We are also actively upgrading our pedestrian signals with accessible push buttons and countdown timers. Cannabis social consumption refers to the ability for adults to legally purchase and consume cannabis products in public spaces, similar to how alcohol is sold and consumed at a bar or events. And Somerville is creating pathways for businesses and individuals to participate in cannabis social consumption, both as sellers and purchasers, in line with the rules and guidelines established by the State of Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission. To learn more and sign up about the program, and sign up for the meetings, I apologize, visit somervillema.gov/social consumption. If you are currently a caregiver, the Somerville Council on Aging has resources for you and your family. The COA offers a caregiver support group, educational resources from partner organizations, and other forms of group support. You can learn more and register by contacting Molly Paliuka by email at mpaliuka@somervillema.gov or calling the phone number on the screen. And I think we have Ashley here, who is the Director of Council on Aging. If you have any questions, you can ask her. The Somerville Climate Ambassador Program is designed to empower Somerville residents to take action on climate change in their community. If you're looking for an opportunity to learn something new, get more involved in your community, or meet new people, consider applying to become a climate ambassador. You can scan the QR code here to apply or visit somervillema.gov/CFA, and applications are open until December 1st. There's a lot to do in Somerville, and we wanted to highlight some upcoming events tonight. The What the Fluff Festival will be taking place this Saturday, September 20th. We have the Ignite Festival taking place next Saturday, September 27th in the Union Square Plaza, and Summer Street's Monster Mash is planned for Sunday, October 19th from 2 to 6 p.m. And finally, you can stay up to date with all things City of Somerville by subscribing to our weekly newsletter. You can do this by using the QR code on this slide or by visiting somervillema.gov/subscribe. On this webpage, you will find a list of other departments that all have their own newsletters. We welcome and encourage you to subscribe to any and all that might interest you. So that concludes our quick updates portion, and I would now like to welcome Mayor Valentine to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. Let me start off by first acknowledging the recent elections. And as you're likely aware, I will not be your mayor past January. I want to offer congratulations to my colleagues on advancing to the general election. But please know, I'm not going anywhere yet. I have a few more months and I intend to use them well. My goal tonight is to talk about the amazing work that my administration and our teams are doing right now. And I also want you to know my heart belongs in Somerville, and I will always work to improve our home and our community. So let me start off with an icebreaker. If this is your first meeting, would you please raise your hand? Awesome, welcome. If you've lived in Somerville less than 1 year, please raise your hand. Okay. If you've lived in Somerville less than 2 years, raise your hand. Okay. Between 2 and 5 years, raise your hand. Okay. Between 5 and 10? 10 and 20? 20 and 25? I'll just stretch it out a little bit. Okay. 25 and 30? Over 30? Okay. And then, of course, as those of you who have been at these meetings with me before, if you've lived here your whole life, please raise your hand. Awesome. If you have children in the Somerville Public Schools, raise your hand. Okay. Why don't you guys pick one? What do you want to know about some of our neighbors here? Anybody? How about, do you own a pet? Raise your hand. Okay, nice, nice. Okay. If you use a bicycle to get around, please raise your hand. If you use public transit. If you use a car. Awesome. Okay. So then the last question is, raise your hand if you plan to go to Fluff Fest. Okay. All right. All right. So next, what I'd like to do is introduce or have the staff introduce themselves. The reason being is some of you might want to leave early. You might have a particular question for a staff member, so it at least gives you the opportunity to see who the staff member is from that department you might have a question with. So I'm going to ask the staff to stand. I see some are, but there's mixed. And sort of step away from the wall because there's come a little closer. And you know what I'm going to do? This time I'm going to start from the right. And I'm going to ask you, using loud voices, your name and your department. Go for it.
Good evening, everyone. Lauren Mahoney. I'm with the Office of Emergency Management.
Good evening, everyone. I'm also with the Office of Emergency Management Director. Sorry. Bill Fisher, Office of Emergency Management Director.
Ben DeMers, Economic Development.
Hey, everybody, Brad Ross, and I serve as Director of Mobility.
Ashley from the company.
Ben Weiner, I work in housing.
Nick Solano, Elections Commissioner. Good evening.
Autumn Brooks, Regional and Social Justice.
Margaret O'Donnell, Office of Housing Security.
Go, Lisa. Go.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dana Whiteside. I'm Deputy Director for Economic Development.
Christine McAlphy, I work in communications.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So it's no surprise to any of us that Massachusetts is in the midst of a housing crisis. So this evening I'm going to talk about what's happening and what we're doing about it. What does it mean when we say we have a housing crisis? Well, according to the numbers, the median home prices are rising far faster than our incomes. In fact, in the 23 years from 2000 to 2023, the median prices of Massachusetts homes rose by 73%, but the median household income only rose 4%, and that's adjusted for inflation. Nearly 40% of households spend more than a third of their take-home pay on rent or mortgage, and just under 20% of our neighbors, that's just under 20% of our 82,000 people. So that's quite a bit. That means that over 7,000 Somerville families are one emergency away from displacement. The key reason this is happening is because we're creating jobs that draw workers here, but we're not creating enough housing to meet that demand. Here's a simple graph that shows the housing prices and the income stats that I just mentioned. Look how the blue line shows housing prices pulls away over time compared to the orange line that shows household income. And that's really a troubling disconnect. The numbers paint a stressful story. But what does it feel like to live through a housing crisis? Well, I'll tell you, I hear these details from residents often. It feels like learning that your building is being sold and that the rent is going to double. It feels like couples who want to expand family but can't afford a larger living space. It feels like staying in an unsafe housing situation because there's no affordable alternative. It feels like leaving food in your grocery basket at the checkout because your rent is very high. It feels like neighbors, classmates, or families are moving out of Somerville. The bottom line, we need more housing, and housing that all can afford. I know the question that's on everyone's mind is, so what's Somerville doing about it? The answer is, we're doing everything we can. We're using every tool we have, or we're creating new tools. We take nimble and creative approaches to housing policies. And here are just a few examples. We're purchasing homes with nonprofits before they hit the market to keep these units affordable. We launched a consolidated rental wait list, so you only need to submit one application for the many of our inclusionary housing units. And we successfully fought to lower rental search fees at the State House, and we're continuing impactful advocacy work. I also want to highlight something important. A big portion of our housing work is supported by the Community Preservation Act. Last fall, Somerville voters overwhelmingly chose to double the CPA charge from the legal to the legal maximum of 3%. That brings in it used to be about $3 million, and now it brings in about $6 million per year. 55% of the CPA funds go directly towards affordable housing. The choice you made at the ballot box, bringing in the dollars that make real change possible. Thank you for everybody who's voted for that. Our approach to housing is built on 3 pillars. Make sure more housing is built, both market rate and affordable. Keep people in their homes, that's preventing displacement, and then create homes that will be a good fit for those who need them most. So let me walk you through each of those pillars. Building more houses. This is a statewide issue. There's not enough housing in the state. Massachusetts needs 222,000 new homes by 2035 to meet the demand according to the state data. So we're doing our part. Somerville at the moment has almost 1,000 new units in the pipeline. To put that in perspective, we currently, let me just ask the question. Can anybody yell out the number of housing units that are in the city of Somerville? That's a non-elected or an aspiring elected. Okay, so it's 34,000 housing units. So remember, the need is 222,000, but what we have in Somerville is 34,000, excuse me. We're building those numbers, as I said before, partly with the help, the affordable housing, with the Community Preservation Act. And those funds we're adding, so I'll give you some examples of the projects we've worked on with CPA funds. 25 affordable apartments for elderly and disabled residents at Mystic Waterworks. That's over in Alewife Brook Parkway, and it's behind the historic old Waterworks pump house. 6 affordable home ownership units at 163 Glen Street. 54 permanently affordable homes through the 100 Homes program. And 319 units, including 136 affordable at 299 Broadway. We're also building forward, so we're thinking about where we can build in the future. That's where the words planning and zoning come in. Yes, you need planning in order to build the housing. In August, we adopted the Assembly Square Neighborhood Plan. It's ambitious because Somerville is ambitious, and our community shaped these goals. The plan aims to create almost 3,000 to about 57 new housing units on top of the 34,000 we have now, of which 600 to 1,000 will be affordable apartments. The Brick Bottom plan is done. Zoning is in progress. This plan sets forth the building of 400 to 625 new homes, including affordable housing. So together, these two plans could bring 6,000 homes to Somerville. Let's also not forget the 100 Homes project. This is something that program, it started in 2015, and we partnered with Somerville Community Corporation to buy homes around the city. We buy them sometimes before they hit the market, sometimes after, then we keep them permanently affordable. So far, we have 106 homes affordable this way. So back closer to home, this is a quick look at projects in your neighborhood in Ward 4. I won't run through them all, but you can see there is a lot underway, including 299 Broadway, which will deliver 319 units, as I said, including 136 affordable, and a host of other benefits we'll hear about from our economic development staff. So now the second pillar is keeping people in their homes. We're also deploying a wide range of housing supports to stabilize residents in need right now. Our Somerville Home Improvement Program provides zero-interest loans to low and moderate income homeowners. They can use these funds for critical repairs to prevent displacement and to keep homes safe. We also offer direct rental assistance. In 2022, I used ARPA funds to launch a rental assistant program for residents. We helped them with overdue rent, provided financial supports during housing searches, and covered expenses that can either make or break your access to housing, like security deposits. And by its end in 2024, it was Somerville's largest and most successful rental assistance program and the most flexible and robust program of its kind in the state of Massachusetts. In response, our Office of Housing Stability has partnered with the Somerville Homeless Coalition and CAS to create a new version of the program so we can continue this work. And as of June 2025, we have put more than $5.6 million into direct rental assistance, serving nearly 900 people across almost 680 households. So the third pillar is matching our housing to the needs. As we build and preserve housing units, we need to ensure access for the people who need them most. Our inclusionary program is one of our strongest tools we have for that. Any new building with 4 or more units set aside at least 20% for affordable. Since 2021, Somerville has added nearly 3,000 new homes, and nearly 500 of them were affordable because of this policy. As we build and preserve housing units, we need to ensure access for people who need them most. That includes our lowest income families, seniors, low-income persons with disabilities, and more. In addition to doing things like that, or making sure that we build family-size units. My administration has made housing for older adults also a top priority. The average Social Security payment is $2,000 a month. Meanwhile, the median rent for an apartment in Somerville is $3,423 a month. That doesn't add up. There's a gap. Between escalating rents and the fixed income of many older adults, it's clear that additional resources and creative thinking were needed to prevent their displacement. So with Senator Jalen's support in securing state funding, we launched the Older Adult Bridge Pilot Program. Last year, we kept 8 seniors in their homes who otherwise would have been displaced. And because of this success, the state now has set more funding to that. They doubled it to $220,000 this year, pending a revenue review. Also, a municipal voucher program is another Somerville success story. Our school and our Office of Housing Stability staff identified a number of Somerville families who could not afford to transition out of temporary rental assistance. In response, my administration created and launched a municipal voucher program in partnership with CAS and the Cambridge Housing Authority. This program provides rental assistance to families with extremely low incomes who aren't eligible for federal or state supports, with a focus on families with children in the Somerville Public Schools. We've already enrolled 30 families, and they pay no more than 30% of their income towards rent, with help also provided for security deposits and other stabilization services. It's taken an intensive staff work from both city and schools to make this program a success. And the photo is of a couple of our staff members in the Office of Housing Stability who are doing this work. So then finally, we got to do advocacy work. We try to do everything and use every tool and create every tool here in the city of Somerville, but let's talk to the state. Let's talk to the federal government. So that's where the advocacy work comes in. So while we're building housing, I've also directed staff to actively advocate for greater tenant protections in order to help keep tenants in their home, and our advocacy work has paid off. We helped pass the Affordable Homes Act this summer, which seals certain eviction cases, and we're already holding workshops so tenants know their rights. We fought for access to council legislation, securing $2.5 million in state funding to expand tenant legal representation at the local level. And here in Somerville, we've taken the lead on contracting with 2 local agencies to provide the support directly. We built a statewide coalition to push for the real estate transfer fee on luxury sales. I testified in support of this fee at the State House this month. I will say I've probably testified every year for, I don't know, so like 5 or 6 years now to the state to give us this tool. And it could bring in $6 to $10 million a year for affordable housing here in Somerville. And we've advanced rent stabilization home rule petition at the state legislature, recommended by my anti-displacement task force. That petition would cap rent hikes at 5% and add some eviction protections. So what does this all look like in terms of investments? We've invested a historic level to advance housing affordability and our stability goals. A total of roughly $62 million in 3 years. In the current economic climate, it could be tough to keep that pace up, meaning creative approaches will continue to be important. I do want to note that the way I see it is that there are 2 sides to the coin when it comes to affordability. On one side of the coin are the costs. We need to keep rents and mortgages down, and then on the other side of the coin is the opportunity to earn money through jobs and job skills training. So we're expanding training for employment in the growing sectors like clean energy, building maintenance, and skills training through SCALE, our public schools, and local partners. We're also helping local employers stay local. Last year, we launched the Small Business Vitality Grant that can cover up to 12 months of storefront rent. We also released a commercial leasing handbook to help local entrepreneurs find and secure spaces that work for them. When I say we're using every tool in the toolbox, I mean it. Somerville cannot solve the housing crisis alone, but we must do our part. We are doing absolutely everything we can to build more housing, combat displacement, as are our state partners. From strengthening tenant protections to expanding affordable housing to rethinking regional housing policy, we must keep going, and we will. So together we can ensure that Somerville remains a place where we can all call home. So thank you.
We have time for 2 questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand and I can run the microphone over.
Hi, I'm Nick DePasquale. For each new unit that comes on the market, what is the requirement for the parking for each one of those units?
That's a great question. It depends where you're located in the city. Who's the best one? So is it within, what is it, 500? I can't hear you. No, there's some level of parking on the project. That's what I understand.
There's 2 ways parking is regulated. We used to have a parking minimum in certain areas of the city that was repealed by the city council last year. But there might be a parking maximum if you're in close proximity to a transit station. There's a map online that accompanies the zoning map that's called the transit area map, and it colors every property in Somerville green or white. If it's in range of a transit station, it's green, and that means it has a parking maximum that prevents you from oversupplying parking on the lot. That is set at mostly at 1 per unit. But there's no minimum parking requirement across the entire city any longer.
Dan, would you mind mentioning the policy about changes?
Yeah, I think that's what he's doing.
There's also a companion policy that the Traffic Commission put in place, and certain houses in certain zoning districts within that transit area are also ineligible for on-street parking permits. So if a new development does not build parking and it's within that transit area and the new tenants come and there's no parking available on their property, they're also not able to get on-street parking permits, which means that development is really trying to attract car-free households. That is on purpose because the on-street parking is significantly less expensive than it is to build off-street parking on a property. So if they don't provide it on the property, they're highly likely to attempt to get it from our parking department. That's why the Traffic Commission stepped in and made sure that that didn't happen. We're trying to build transit-oriented development near the train stations, not automobile-oriented development near our train stations. No, that does not include the buses currently.
Anyone?
Okay, thank you for your question.
Thank you so much, Mayor Ballantyne. Next up, we are going to hear from Ed Hardy from the 311 Constituent Services Department.
Thank you, Christine. So I came in this evening and I was talking to Councillor Wilson and Councillor Burnley out back, and Councillor Burnley quite frankly said, Ed, aren't you worried about your name? There are so many Hardys in Somerville. I had no idea there were so many Hardys. And also there's other Ed Hardys in the city of Somerville. So I'm going to start off by saying who I am not. First and foremost, you've probably seen my name on t-shirts, jeans, and all kinds of merchandise. I am not this Ed Hardy. I am not a millionaire, though sometimes I wish I had his checkbook. I am also not the vice president of the Somerville Municipal Employees Union. That belongs to my colleague and friend who I haven't met, Edward Hardy from our DPW department, who I received quite a few emails from, or for. My name is Edmund Hardy with an M-U-N-D at the end, and I'm with the Office of Constituent Services, predominantly 311. I'm here with my colleague Eileen Costa tonight to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do, how we operate, and to answer any questions you might have about us. But first I want to start by saying I'm just honored to death to be able to speak tonight. I've been coming to these meetings and the Slice of the Cities for a couple of years now since I joined the city. I've always been in the background, available to answer questions if people had them, and this is the first opportunity I've had the chance to speak, and I take it quite seriously. I take it very proud, because I am very proud to represent the fine people I work with in 311. And let me tell you, as someone who's worked his entire career directing call center, customer service, and customer experience teams around the world, these people at 311 who are providing you with critical services that you need are some of the most dedicated, talented, and hardworking people I have had the pleasure of working with. So I'd like to give them a round of applause. So now that we're clear on which Ed Hardy I am and which Ed Hardy I am not, let me tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. The slide, I believe, says 311 is Somerville's helpline for city services and non-emergency issues. In my notes here, I crossed out helpline. I said, we're your gateway. We are the entry point to all things Somerville. And when I say all things, I do mean all things. No longer do you need a Rolodex with 100 different numbers on it or tear out a whole page of an old phone book to get every department number and extension and all that stuff. If you have any problems, any questions, like we like to say, if you have a burning building, call 911. If you have a burning question, call 311. So keep that in mind. It's good, but we're here to answer all your questions. We are the gateway to city services. Anything you have on your mind, our folks are trained to handle it. And basically, we have three kinds of requests that come into us. If we can go to the next slide. Our mission, obviously. We are going to provide the highest quality customer service in the municipality in the Commonwealth. That's our mission, that's our goal. And in my experience here, I say we're there. Like I said, I am thoroughly impressed in the time I've been been here with how they structure and how they operate, and I just couldn't be prouder of them. I tell them when I do have the opportunity to speak, I'm not an active call taker myself, but when I do speak to the team, I say, you know, we take, the mayor quoted we have 82,000 residents. In 2024, our call center took over 80,000 calls, so that's one phone call for every man, woman, and child in the city. If you add in the walk-ins to the welcome desk at City Hall, the tabling events that we so often attend, such as these, you take our emails, our mobile apps, and our text interactions, it's well up over 100,000. So it's, we've got everyone covered. But that does kind of illustrate the fact that these call takers in 311 their depth and breadth of knowledge of this monstrous machine and complicated machine called Somerville and how it operates is immense. I continue to be amazed every day at the depth and breadth of their knowledge and what they need to know. Think about it, 80,000 phone calls, and it could be 80,000 different reasons. Someone like Eileen Costa here will have to have an answer for all of them. But that's how we generally work. If we can go to the next slide. There are basically three kinds of call when the call comes in. Your call's going to come in, Eileen's going to answer it very nicely, say, thank you for calling the city of Somerville, how can I help you? You're going to have a question, an informational call. Eileen is going to, through her training and her experience, she's been here forever, is going to know the answer. She's going to handle that call, she's going to log your request so that we keep track of it, and send you on your way. Now, you might call in for a request of a specific service, which is going to be provided by another department within the city. Eileen also will take that call. She'll be polite. She'll say, I'll open up this call and send it over to our DPW department, and they'll go and pick up your trash for you. Or I'll send it to this department, and they'll take care of that issue for you. So again, it's that gateway. We are the traffic cops to the city of Somerville. You need anything, call Eileen, call 311, and we will route that call. And we do use, we're up at the times, we use a sophisticated call tracking system and CRM system, customer relationship management system, where we can track the calls. We see where they're coming. And it tells us by analyzing that kind of data, where the calls are coming from, what they're calling about, we can help address our service delivery model to improve our services that we give to you. So I'm very, very happy with the way things are going. But what happens to your call when you do need a service request? Same thing. Eileen will answer it. She'll log your case. She's not going to be the one to go empty the overflowing trash barrel down at Ball Square or something. But she's going to route that call to the appropriate DPW department, sanitation most likely, and that call will be routed and they'll take care of the issue. When you do call, or contact us any other way. I was told to say this too. We have online presence, the mobile app, a direct phone number, etc. You'll get a service request number which references your specific event. So you can always call back in, reference that service number, and we can follow up. You'll get text alerts as to any changes in the status of your call, and we'll go on. Our last bucket that we handle is just feedback. Like I said before, if you have a burning building, call 911. If you have a burning question, call 311. We have a layer within our department, which is just to take feedback. You want to get something off your chest. You want to make sure this department head knows that, or this department knows about this, or the mayor knows about that. We'll log those, and we track those as well. So please continue to provide your feedback. Lastly, when your call is closed, your service request is closed, you probably get a prompt for take a very short, 3 or 4 questions, I believe it is, our customer satisfaction survey. And that is unique to that specific request that you just called in about. So if we use that example of trash overflowing in Ball Square, once that trash is emptied and that service request is closed, you might get a text to take a 3-question survey. We highly encourage you to continue to take those. Not just once a year, tell us how we're doing. No, it's for every time you request that service. That information that you provide through that customer satisfaction survey is tracked, it's reported, and again, it helps us understand where we're doing well, and in other cases where we might be falling short. So please continue to take those. This last slide shows some indication of Ward 4 activity in our 311 center. Ward 4, there are 7 wards, so you should see roughly about 13 or 14.5% of the volume, but you can see for your particular ward, you're a little bit lower. You don't really, you represent 14% of the city, but in terms of calls into 311, it's about 8% of our total interactions. And again, when I say total interactions, that could be chat, text, email, or phone call, so it's not just limited to the phone calls. Lastly, again, they're gonna put up a slide that shows you how to contact 311. We did have a question last night about if you're calling on the periphery of Somerville, sometimes you'll get the Cambridge 311. I wish I had a better answer for anyone who's experiencing that problem. I apologize, but those are the cell phone carriers. We don't have much control over that. But we do have the two numbers, the 311 if you're in Somerville, and the 666-3311 will also reach us. And again, our welcome desk at City Hall is always manned by a representative from 311, so please come in and see us there as well. In closing, I promised my deputy director I would read this. Some of the things I hope you take away from my talk this evening is, first, please call 311. Whenever you see something that needs fixing, you have a question or aren't sure which department to reach, start with us. We're the gateway to city services, and calling 311 helps make sure your issue is tracked and routed to the right place. Second, spread the word. Sometimes we hear that people are very surprised to hear that we have a 311, or they're surprised when they call and they get an actual person saying hello instead of a machine. So please tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your family people, no need for a Rolodex, 311. Call us and we'll route your call, or we'll answer your question directly right on the spot. So spread the word. And finally, as I just said, I'm not going to belabor the point, but fill out that survey. The information you provide through our customer satisfaction survey is aiding the city in improving our overall service delivery model. Please continue taking the surveys each time you receive one and rate us on how we performed on that specific request. The feedback captured in these surveys are the fuel that drives our continuous improvement efforts. Thank you.
Questions, concerns, thoughts? No, going once, going twice?
Sold.
Thank you so much, Ed. Next up, I would like to welcome Ben Demers from our Economic Development Office to provide an update on 299 Broadway.
Okay, can you all hear me? Great. Hi everyone, my name is Ben Demers. I'm a senior planner with the real estate stream of our Economic Development Division, and I'm here to give you an update on 299 Broadway. A lot of what I do, you might be wondering why somebody in economic development is talking to you about a housing project. A lot of what I do is coordinating city investment in public-private partnerships for the city, of which this is a great example. Who here is familiar with 299 Broadway? So this is the redevelopment of the Star Market parcel on Broadway. Awesome. A lot of people. So I'm just going to give a quick overview of what this project is going to be delivering in the next couple of years. So this is a mixed-use project that's going to be bringing 319 new housing units to Winter Hill. Along with these housing units, of which, as the mayor referenced earlier, 136 of which are deed-restricted affordable, there are a number of different public benefits that the project is going to be bringing. So it's going to be bringing 2 new civic spaces to the site. So one of these spaces is going to be along Broadway. Another is going to be in one of the portions of the parcel along Sewell Street that is currently just kind of a paved lot. So super excited to see that park introduced into the neighborhood. It's also going to bring several new retail spaces, about 10,000 square feet of retail space, so 5 to 6 small retail spaces along Broadway and then also along Temple Street. So kind of new retail options for the neighborhood. And then one of the very exciting parts of this project is that it's also going to bring a 3,000 square foot community room, which is being delivered in the western building, the fully affordable building that's part of the project. So this is going to be a very exciting resource that members of the community, members of the neighborhood are going to be able to access. The city has supported this project in a lot of different ways. It takes a lot of work to make these public-private partnerships work, especially in the tough real estate environment that we are in, and we want to see good projects still move forward. So the project, the city has coordinated around tax subsidy for the project over the next 20 years. We have also allocated, I think, the highest ever allocation from our Affordable Housing Trust, so $6 million, and this was really to kind of support the acquisition work at the project. And then we've also coordinated a number of different state grants, including a MassWorks infrastructure project grant, and this is really to support the development of one of those civic spaces that I referenced earlier. So much work has gone into this. This has also been a long narrative. This Star Market has been vacant for, I think, over 20 years, probably at this point. And 17, okay, almost 20 years, almost 2 decades. So I want to just give you a sense of what you're going to see in the next couple of months. I'll keep it brief. We are expecting site work to start probably in October, early November. So what is that going to look like? Site work means they're going to be doing some work in the two buildings, so in the Star Market and then also in the old Walgreens on the site. It also means you might start to see some leveling work. And then towards the end of November, you actually might see a demolition. This is one of those things where the exact timeline, it's tough to pin down. Once they have permits in hand, they can move very quickly. But we meet very regularly with this development team. We're expecting things to move soon, so super exciting. How can you stay informed about what's going to be happening? 2 ways. One, we host regular, usually monthly, probably every other month, Winter Hill Civic Advisory Committee meetings. So this is a group that kind of gives feedback on implementation of the project. They're going to be a regular forum for construction updates. Both Councilor Klingon and Councilor Wilson are members of this group, so you can also talk to them more about it. But all of our meetings are open to the public. We love to take public questions, keep people informed. The other way is I will not shut up about this project, so you can come and talk to me. My name is Ben Demers. My email is bdemers@somervillema.gov. I will gladly talk to you about any details you want to know about this. So I'll be at this table after the presentations if you want to talk more. Are there any questions now? Yeah.
Will they provide parking for the stores that are going to be available in that unit? Or will they be looking for parking on the streets?
Yeah, so there's going to be a few different ways. So the question was, are they going to be providing parking for the new retail spaces on the site? So there are going to be new on-street parking areas, both metered and then also kind of 15, or I think it's 5 or 20-minute pickup spots, depending on if it's a resident pickup or commercial pickup. So there'll be some on-street parking made available. And then there are also 6 spaces that are available. So the spaces right next to the liquor store at the corner of Temple and Broadway, that site is going to get kind of reworked a little bit as part of the overall site work, but there is still going to be parking in that little strip there. So a customer for the retail spaces would still be able to park at those spaces.
Well, my concern is that I do most of my shopping out of Somerville because of the parking situation. And to me, that's a big concern, that you cannot stop. Like if you go up to Ball Square, there's no parking there. They get the bike lane things. It's very difficult to find parking throughout the city. And I was wondering, is there going to be any update to improve this matter? I mean, Union Square is a disgrace. Davis Square, Teal Square, they have no parking anywhere.
Yeah, I don't want to volunteer our Director of Mobility to talk more about this, but can probably talk afterwards. But Brad Rawson, who's our Director of Mobility, if you chat with him afterwards, he's a great resource on kind of the parking plans throughout the city, neighborhood by neighborhood. It's very different. His team does a lot of engagement work. For 299 specifically, kind of in this area, it's mostly going to be on street and then those 6 spaces off the street. But I hear you that, we're always talking with the development team, how can we make sure that people can access these retail spaces, and parking is a part of that conversation.
Well, it's difficult when you're elderly.
Yeah.
You cannot ride a bike through the city, and you have to use public transportation or drive a car, and it's difficult to get to these places.
Yeah, I hear you.
You agree? Thank you.
This is the guy for that. Anyone?
Have you done an analysis on what the traffic is going to be created with 300 and something more units when we only have 1 lane of traffic going up Broadway?
Yeah, so as part of the original permitting of the project through the ZBA, the Zoning Board of Appeals, they had to do traffic studies. So they did do those at the time that the project was permitted. Again, I don't mean to defer to you, Brad, but is there any, I guess if you have any other questions specifically about their traffic study, our mobility staff can probably more coherently answer that. So I can connect you with.
Ben, you nailed it.
Right.
We'll talk about it in more detail. Answers yes. Analyses were done. I'll be happy to talk more about it.
Yeah. I'm also happy to talk after.
We are taking 2 questions for each presentation, and we are going to open up into a general Q&A at the end of all presentations. We've received 2 questions so far, so if you still have a question for Ben, please hold on to it, and you will get a chance to ask it at the end of all presentations. I think so. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Next, I would like to welcome Gina Cortese, who is going to give a presentation, who is going to give an update on the stormwater management.
Thanks. So I'm Gina Cortese. I'm a senior project manager in the engineering division. Going to be talking today a little bit about stormwater management and one of the projects that the engineering division is working on right now to help provide some additional stormwater management, particularly here in Ward 4. So one of the biggest one of the biggest infrastructure challenges in our region right now is providing stormwater management. And lucky for us, Somerville has the additional challenge of being a very densely populated urban environment, which means that we have a lot of impervious areas. And what that means is that when it falls, we have to take almost every drop of rain and move it somewhere else. We have to do that with our infrastructure. So the city over the last several years has prioritized a handful of projects that are really meant to tackle these stormwater management issues. They're recognizable. You may be familiar with some of them, one of which is a large culvert that was put underground in the Somerville Ave corridor a handful of years ago. An ongoing project right now is the Poplar Street pumping station, which will take a lot of that flow from the culvert on Somerville Ave. An ongoing but rapidly finishing project right now is the Spring Hill sewer separation project. So the city is investing in projects that handle stormwater and help us with our stormwater management needs. So the Mystic River Outfall and Sewer Separation Project is a bit of a mouthful, so you might hear me slipping into MROS as we move forward. MROS is one of these projects that the city is undertaking that will seek to achieve these stormwater management goals that you see on the screen. The first of which, reduce flooding in low-lying parts of the city. Flooding can be anywhere from a nuisance to downright dangerous when it occurs in our neighborhoods. We know this. We know particularly we have low-lying areas in Ward 4. We know Foss Park, the parallel streets adjacent to it, Fellsway West, Wheatland, Grant, are all particularly susceptible to flooding because of their topography. Water quality issues. We are extremely lucky in Somerville, and again, particularly in Ward 4, to have direct access to the Mystic River, which provides recreational access to all of us. And so we are using these opportunities with our stormwater projects to take advantage of being able to limit the impacts of pollutants that come from stormwater. And additionally, I think we all know climate change is a challenge, and it means more frequent and more intense rainfall, which means more demands on our stormwater system. So how do we tackle these problems, and how do we actually do it in the Mystic River Outfall and Sewer Separation Project? What tools do we have as part of our toolbox? The name of the project gives a couple of these away, but before we jump into that, a brief history that in the late 1800s and early 1900s, when the city was really starting to build out, the best engineering practices at the time were to have what's called a combined sewer system. And essentially what that means is when it rains, your rainwater mixes with your sanitary flows almost immediately and has one set of pipes. We now know that that might not be the best plan of action, and so one of the things we have in our toolbox is called sewer separation, which, as the name implies, instead of having a combined system where the sanitary and the stormwater mixes into one, we are essentially undoing that, building out a whole separate network of pipes so that when it rains, your rainwater goes into one set of pipes and your sanitary goes into another. The Spring Hill Sewer Separation Project, aptly named, one of the projects we undertook where this is exactly what we did. We took a neighborhood, Spring Hill, and we added in essentially a whole new pipe network down just about every street in the project area. This is one of the tools we have in our toolbox and one of the major ones that we'll be leaning on as we do this MROS project. So you can see hopefully on the slide here, everything that is within that purple polygon box is an area that we will be performing sewer separation in. The second tool, again, the name kind of gives it away, is a new outfall that will discharge to the Mystic River. So once we do our sewer separation, we've pulled the stormwater flows out, has to go somewhere. And we do that, we send it to the Mystic River. It means we have to build a new outfall. It means we have to build a very large drain to get it all there. So hopefully you can see, but 78-inch trunk drain, that's quite large. I could walk through that. And then beyond these two major tools that we have things like green stormwater infrastructure that help us with some additional treatment to the stormwater before it enters the Mystic. And we have the opportunity to improve, upsize, modernize our existing infrastructure from the early 1900s. It could use some improvements. So these tools, where do they get us? Do they help us with these goals? And so for this project, Mystic River Outfall focus on flood reduction and CSO reduction, which I'll explain in a minute. But what you can see on the screen here, you have essentially what's a before and after slide of what we expect this project to do for flooding in the area. So the first slide, kind of on the top and the left side of it, that's what we predict flooding will look like for a specific storm in the year 2030. If you see blue, it means flooding. The darker blue, the deeper the flooding. After the MROS, that's if we didn't do anything right now, we get to 2030 and it rains, this is what we expect to see. After MROS is completed, then you have the after picture on the right. Again, same storm, far less flooding, far less blue space, which is good. You want to see that. The other piece, water quality. So one of the metrics that we use to measure this in the industry is what's called looking at the reduction of combined sewer overflows, or CSOs. Back to our definition of a combined sewer system. When it rains, and we're in a combined one set of pipes for everything that flows, that capacity gets quickly taken up, the pipes get full, and there needs to be a relief somewhere. And so that either means basements flood, streets flood, there are backups, or we have what are called combined sewer overflows in our systems and many of the systems around us, like Cambridge, like Boston, like Chelsea, like Revere. They're all over the place. It's not just us. We have these outlets called combined sewer overflows, and so the mixed water of sanitary and stormwater gets a partial treatment, and then it gets released to the Mystic River. After the MROS project is complete, we expect the volume of that CSO, combined sewer overflows, to go down. So we expect a combined sewer overflow reduction of 40% and a flood reduction of 75%, so pretty significant. So where are we in this process now? We started this process back in late 2023. We started preliminary design. We are now in what we're calling detailed design, where we are iterating on that preliminary design, performing additional field investigation work. So you may have seen some additional folks in the neighborhood with scopes, performing survey, digging small holes. That might be for this project, to get a little bit more information to finalize that design. We have a lot of permitting that needs to happen right now. We have a lot of jurisdictions that we touch with this project, so if there's a state agency with an acronym, we probably have to get a permit from them, and that is dictating part of our schedule as well. And then hopefully once that is all complete, we would expect to go out to bid, possibly begin construction late 2026. So if you would like to learn more, best source for that is our website, which is on the slide with the QR code. Can send questions directly to me at my email address, which is also on the slide, and then the date has yet to be determined, but we will be hosting a community meeting in late October where we share some more of the detailed findings from our preliminary design and where we're at now. Great, thank you. Any questions?
Hi, thanks for the good work. You had said something, there's a green, I think it's the third bullet down.
Stormwater infrastructure?
Yeah, what is that exactly?
Yeah, so green stormwater infrastructure is, it's a technique that essentially seeks to use the natural environment to help us perform some of that stormwater treatment, and really is where I'll lay into it. It's things like, you'll hear different names, but we're calling them biobasins in this case, where you have trees, you have plants, and then you have kind of an excavated area below that helps infiltrate some of that water back into the soil rather than sending it straight into our pipes. A bit of a misnomer, but something that we also include in green stormwater infrastructure are these infiltration basins where you don't necessarily see the greenery on top, but it performs that same infiltration function. And it allows us to put more of these systems in places where we wouldn't otherwise have space for them, like under sidewalks. Yeah.
I'm curious, I've heard there are some other things that are considered both in Somerville and other places, like drainage underneath streets. I was just curious, you mentioned infiltration. I don't know if there are other forms that we are using or we're exploring along those lines. I'm just curious about these different possibilities.
Yeah, we have, at least for this project in particular, we have done and are continuing to work on like a very detailed approach. We're literally looking at the entire project area and saying on every square inch can we put some sort of green infrastructure. We've done something similar on a lot of our prior projects. Spring Hill and Somerville Ave projects are maybe really good examples where you can see some of those biobasins that line the streets, maybe some permeable pavement or permeable asphalt on bike lanes. We're definitely looking at it from all approaches. We're doing it on other smaller scale projects like sewer rehabilitation programs as well. So we're definitely thinking about it a lot. It's just, you know, we're a dense city. There's a lot of competition for space. And so we're really, you know, trying to work with the limitations that we have on space. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Gina. Next up, I would like to welcome Lauren Mahoney to the podium. She is the Deputy Director of our Office of Emergency Management.
Good evening, everyone. As Christine said, my name is Lauren Mahoney. I'm the Deputy Director of Emergency Management. So the question we typically get is, what is emergency management? So this first slide is going to put up a lot of words about how we would describe emergency management, what it entails, what it does, and what it means. This is not an encompassing list, but the phrase you see there in the middle, community focused, is what our mission comes down to in the end. So understanding emergency management is a local responsibility, and we receive assistance from state and federal partners. Emergency management is focused on all hazards, not just natural disasters. It's a phased cycle of preparedness, response, recovery, and mitigation. It's the key to protecting lives, infrastructure, and the economy. Emergency management really is its own specialty. What emergency management is not is just FEMA's job. It's not a one-size-all-fits model. Capacity varies widely per municipality across all 351 communities in Massachusetts. It is not limited to just storms and floods. It can include cyber, health, and social crises. And emergency management is not a reactive-only service. It requires planning and leadership before emergencies and disasters strike. So in the Somerville Office of Emergency Management, this is our mission statement. It's to reduce the impacts of disasters together through that whole community approach, ensuring that everyone, regardless of background or circumstance, has access to resources and support that they need to recover and thrive. So you can see that mission statement on our website, there in the center of the screen. And we are also now on social media, thanks to our wonderful comms department. So you can either scan the QR code there in the center and find us on Facebook. So the Office of Emergency Management, we are a robust, small, but mighty department of two, myself and Director William Fisher. This slide shows just some of the work that emergency management has done in the past 15 months since we have both combined come on board as employees of the City of Somerville. We have conducted numerous civilian trainings, which we also helped to bring out to the wards this fiscal year so that constituents of Somerville can also partake in. We have developed the city's comprehensive emergency management plan, which is the base plan of all other emergency plans for the city. And each of the annexes that you see listed below accompany that base plan, and there are more to come. We have stood up 3 unified coordination centers, one for Porch Fest earlier this year. We will be having one for Fluff Fest this Saturday, which I would like to note that the historic rainy condition Fluff Fest is not happening this year. So I don't want to say that we're taking credit for it, but it's going to be a beautiful day. And we have also stood up UCCs for elections, which we plan on doing again as well. A lot of what emergency management does is that collaborative and coordinated response. We work with our city partners, outside agencies, to collaborate on fires, severe weather emergencies, heat and cold emergencies, the Winter Warming Center, and local recovery resource centers. So again, this is just some of the work that we have done, and there's a whole lot more to come. On the topic of fire coordination, we wanted to highlight 4 significant events that have happened in Somerville fairly recently, 2 of which happened here in this ward. So in a span of 53 days, there were 4 residential fires that left 58 residents displaced. You can see that the first fire on Wheatland Street happened on July 6th. The last fire on August 28th. So again, 53 days. If you want to narrow that down even further, there were 3 events in just 18 days. No fire and no response is ever the same, and that holds true to these 4 events as well. The only similarity that these fires really had were that they were either late night or overnight fires. But again, no person comes to an emergency or disaster with the same needs or needing the same resources. And our job is to collaborate and coordinate to get the residents of Somerville what they need when they find themselves in these situations. So the Office of Emergency Management quickly coordinates a huddle or a conference call with our internal city partners to discuss the impacts, outstanding needs, casework that needs to be done, timelines, and many other things. It's all about meeting individuals where they are at in a time of emergency or disaster, and those needs can vary widely, as they did with each of these individual fires. I'm happy to say that collaboratively, the city and our outside agency partners were able to assist all 58 residents during each of these extremely vulnerable times with the services that you see listed on the slide here. So everything from temporary and long-term housing, financial aid through the Somerville Homeless Coalition Emergency Fund, food security, pet supplies for those that had furry family members also affected, translation services thanks to the Somerville Office of Immigrant Affairs, clothing, household goods, mattresses, document replacement, and school supplies for some of the children that were also affected. So again, those are just some of the things that we do with the Somerville Office of Emergency Management, and we look forward to working with all of you in the near future.
Questions?
I know sometimes people don't really think of things in this type of crowd, but I want more of a comment on the fire situation. So, first of all, I just want to thank our first responders, thank the city staff who came out on Wheatland Street that day. There was somebody from ISD, the designated person, got everybody's information, hooked them up with Red Cross, and that's important. But what I want to mention is, because I know a lot of you, anytime there's a hot button topic relating to, for instance, the house that was on Thurston that was abandoned, 382 Broadway, which is that old Victorian house that is kind of like in some sort of weird holding pattern Frankenstein mode with the green board all in front of it. And I know that people have been accessing that property. I've been working with SPD and ISD to make sure that it's secure. The deal with that property is that it has it's under a hold for the Historic Preservation Commission until November. Once we get to that date, November 7th, they will be able to resume, but that green board will all have to come down. That's been out in the elements too long. ISD is all over those folks and that property, but unfortunately, we have a demolition review period, and it ends in November. So once that happens, we'll hopefully see some progress on that property, or at least, I will be certainly pushing those property owners to move on that property henceforth, because they're a little bit of an impasse with the Historic Commission around the frontage and having it out so close to Broadway. It's definitely not as pretty as all the other places, but there's only so much we can do as a city to prevent a developer from building what they want to build once that demolition review period is up. So just a little update on the greenhouse, the monstrous greenhouse abandoned property. So.
We have time for one more question. Anyone? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Next up, I would like to welcome SPD Captain Sean Sheehan to provide an update on Ward 4.
I know it's getting late, so I will be quick. It's really hot in here. So I'm Captain Sean Sheehan. I'm the Patrol Division Commander. My office. I'm also the Firearms Licensing Officer. My office is in Teal Square in the West Substation. Yeah, that'd be great. So my office is in Teal Square. It's in the West Substation. Like I said, I'm also the Firearms Licensing Officer. So I'm here to talk about the police department. The chief, Shemaine Benford, is over there. So I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is, unfortunately, citywide Part 1 crime is increased 9%. We found that this is strictly because of the Assembly Row area. We've had a lot of larcenies, shoplifting. That brought our crime rate up 9% year over year. As you can see there, the increase is larceny is 246 for the year, primarily with Assembly Row. And there's a couple of reasons for it. We've gotten such a great relationship with the retailers in Assembly Row. They're now reporting most of their thefts to us. Previously, if it was below a certain dollar value, they wouldn't report it to us.
but we've got such a great relationship that they're now reporting everything to us. So unfortunately, that drove up our Part 1 crime by 9% year over year. Specifically to Ward 4, which is the good news, as you can see, Part 1 crime for Ward 4 has decreased 18% year over year, which is great, is a great number. As you can see, commercial burglary is up, arson is up 1, but the decreases are in beating of a motor vehicle, residential burglary. The SBD response, so we have what's called directed patrols. Directed patrols are when we specifically direct our area patrol cars, the officers that work for me, to specific locations. That's based on a few things. It's based on crime patterns, hotspots, if we have a lot of repeat incidents at a certain location, and specifically more feedback from the community. So if people come into us and say, you know, there's a lot of people hanging out in this area, we'll have directed patrols. We'll send our area cars there. They will get out and they'll talk to people, which is what we consider hotspots. We also continue to increase residents' awareness of crime and crime prevention methods. Chief Benford, this is his first summer in Somerville, so he implemented our warm weather strategy. As you can see here, the goal to work with internal and external stakeholders to maximize the opportunity for community safety through the summer season. It was from July, it's actually still going on July, or it just ended September 7th. And our objectives are to identify problems and work collaboratively towards creative solutions. So we met with the businesses and the citizens in Davis Square, in Union Square, Somerville High School area for the Central District, and the Healy, Mystic, Temple, Lower Broadway, Assembly Row for the East. And what we did was we met with them and we tried to figure out what their issues are. And we tailored our warm weather strategy towards what they're looking for from the police department. If you look here, between this time frame, we had 1,399 business, citizen, and youth contacts. What that entails is officers getting out, talking to business owners, to citizens, and youth. It might be at a soccer game. That's 344% higher than the same period last year, which was 315 contacts. Directed patrols, we did 1,286 directed patrols. A directed patrol, like I had indicated before, is we might have a crime pattern and a specific, beatings of motor vehicles. So we direct our officers to patrol a certain area, certain time of the night. We had a 76% increase in directed patrols from the year over year. And we had 584 park walk and talks. Now, what's a park walk and talk? It pretty much says it for itself. Our officers, they have a time frame of between 15 and 45 minutes where they park their car, they get out, they walk, they talk to the community, and address any issues that they might have. There was a 196% increase year over year for park walk and talks. Building trust legitimacy. National Night Out is August 5th of this year. We have businesses in the city services that we do it at Dilboy Field. We bring in a ton of police officers and we give away, we give away backpacks and stuff for school. The Junior Police Academy. We had 30 cadets graduate. We do it every year. This year we had the State Police Dive Team came in, gave a demonstration. Last year we had the Boston Police Drone came in, gave a demonstration. We've actually had State Police horses come in with the kids. Online safety class. Our detectives taught an online safety class at the Winter Hill Community School. Winter Hill Innovation School. We did separate sessions in Spanish and Portuguese. We also did 911 awareness sessions with the Asian community and the Brazilian community, with the Council on Aging. So our priorities for the future. Implementation of a pilot co-response with CORE. We're just starting that now, working with CORE with co-response. We're going to work with the Public Safety for All manager, who was just recently hired, to implement the Public Safety for All recommendations. The chief wants to create a community policing command within the SPD. Obviously, you know, we're currently at a little bit short-staffed. We're in the process of hiring. Partner with city residents to address specific neighborhood needs, to develop neighborhood engagement teams for each ward, create a sustainable pathway for community members to engage with and problem solve with the SPD through the year. We're always hiring. Like I said, our staffing is relatively low. We have a new method. So historically, we would hire off the civil service exam. We have a new method, which is called the hybrid method. We just recently hired 3 officers who had already been through the police academy, which is important for us because they will start right away. They go through our field training program and then they hit the street. And as a part of it, you know, the potential officers have to complete a full-time police academy, have to get post-certified, which is the Police Officer Standards and Training Commission, and they can complete a vigorous background investigation. Obviously, if you need to contact us, if it's an emergency, call 911. We also have 617-625-1212, which is the non-emergency line. So if you need to get a hold of us and it's not an emergency, that's the number you call. We also have social media and our website. Okay. That's it, yeah? Absolutely.
Does anybody have any questions? I'll come to you 1 second.
Do they have plans for a new police station?
So we did have plans, but that's on hold right now. There was a lawsuit for the land. So as of speaking now, as far as I know, there is no plan for a police station in the near future, unfortunately.
Also, Law 7777777, Law 323232.
Okay. You got a question?
Hi, I appreciate all that you said about, you know, paying attention to hot spots and making sure there's a lot of walking around neighborhoods. I certainly hear from a lot of people about the ongoing issues happening at the Mystics, on Temple, also on Bailey Road, just on the other side of the overpass. I'm just curious about the status of that, how your whole department is approaching it.
So we're currently, we work with the Mystic Development. We work with their community center. We're always sending officers there to work with the kids in the community center. We have continuous directed patrols in the Mystic Development. And we work in tandem with the Somerville Housing Police. And, you know, that area for us is very heavily policed as far, you know, as for directed patrols. So we are very active in that area. What we do is we don't just have the area, each car is assigned a specific area. We don't just have the area car. We'll pull cars from other areas, Ward 3, Ward 2, Ward 1. They'll assist in directed patrols and hotspot policing, stuff like that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see you. Just a couple things just to add onto the back of that. This warm weather strategy that the captain reported out on, was really an attempt to ensure that we had a strategy that addressed issues and concerns, most importantly, from a proactive standpoint across the city. We didn't want to just focus in one section of the city. We wanted to ensure that all of our residents were served, A, and then B, wanted to do our best to make sure that each community, particularly we know there are certain crime trends that tick up during the warm weather. It's just a hard reality, particularly up in the urban city. So we employed that strategy so that we can address some of those concerns. The other thing that I wanted to mention, the captain reported out on the intent to try and develop a community policing command. And I just want to take 30 seconds just to highlight what that means for us. I want to recognize the hard work that the officers put in this summer and this year, but I also want to recognize the captain. This time last year, he was competing for his command. This year, he has stepped into the patrol division with a lot of innovation and some open thinking to help us further our service delivery. But one of the things that we want to do proactively is how do we consistently engage with the community throughout the year? One of the things that I've consistently said when we had the meetings in the spring and this time last year when I first arrived, I don't want to wait until we have city hall or mayoral meetings to engage with the community. We want to build this neighborhood community policing command, neighborhood engagement teams, and community policing so that we have officers that are strategically assigned to each ward that can work with the residents throughout the year to address these issues as they come up, as opposed to coming into these forums, having these really big, broad conversations about it, as opposed to working throughout the year to address the issues. So that's a future iteration that we really hope, as we staff up, and the captain mentioned, that we're going to be able to create that capacity, working with our elected officials to build out the capacity as we move forward. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And finally, our last presentation of the night, I would like to welcome Brad Rawson, our Director of Mobility. You want that?
Thanks, Christine. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. Thanks for sticking around late. It's like one of our last really pretty fall evenings, and you're here inside participating in our local democracy, our civic experiment. And I just want to acknowledge that and thank you all. We're in a time of divisiveness. We're in a time of fear. We're in a time of mistrust of institutions. But I've been a part of this community for 18 years, and I have seen us rise to the occasion, crisis after crisis. Little moments like this matter a lot. So thank you for meeting even when there are challenging public policy debates that we are all committed to. So my name is Brad Rawson. I'm your neighbor. I'm a Somerville resident. I've been part of this community, like I said, since 2007, and working in City Hall that entire time. I view my role as a little bit of a bridge to the old days, and I feel lucky that folks who have been around longer than the 18 years I've been here have shared their stories with me. So now I'm part of a middle generation, helping to pay it forward so that the younger generation appreciates how hard we had to fight to get where we are today. I'm a proud parent in our public schools, and what a great example of how hard we've had to fight to provide the public resources that this community expects and deserves. The team that I lead in City Hall is called our Mobility Division. We are a little team of 8 staff located within the Community Development Office. We sit right next to 30 affordable housing specialists. Lisa is here representing part of that affordable housing crew. We sit right next to 12 case review architects, historic preservationists, and permitting planners. Dan leads that team and is representing them. So there was a question earlier about how we do development review. For example, our team works with those subject matter experts because we're part of the same department. We sit right next to a team of parks project managers, landscape architects, certified arborists. My colleague Louisa leads that team, and it illustrates how even for our mobility team, we are constantly thinking about how we get our residents to parks, to schoolyards, how we do things like green infrastructure that my colleague Gina was talking about earlier, and how we actually plant trees that maybe can actually grow a proper canopy and live in a harsh urban environment. So just wanted to kind of paint that bigger picture as we start to talk about some of the specifics of our team's work. We work with the MBTA a ton. Lots of different departments worked on the Green Line extension, but we were the kind of the spearhead for the city, and we're so proud that we all were able to fight together to bring the Green Line and the community path to Somerville. We are probably the point people on working with another state agency partner, Mass DOT, and nobody in Somerville knows more than Ward 4 residents the burden of the regional highways, the 1960s interstates that cut through our neighborhoods that create safety challenges, noise, air pollution challenges. So we are constantly working with Mass DOT to try to make their roads safer, more humane, honestly, even like build sound walls along the freeway that maybe should have been built back in the 60s. So it's a lot of fun, and it's really, really important work. We work with our partners at the DCR. So any of you who live in the 10 Hills neighborhood and are thinking about Blessing of the Bay Boathouse, the Greenways, the connections to McDonald Park on the Medford side, to Assembly, the Mystic River pedestrian bridge over to Everett and the casino, that's our team as the lead as well. We try to make buses run on time. We spearhead the city's free transit programs. So just kind of painting a picture of the big picture work. The thing that really animates this community, though, is street safety. So it's one part of our work, but we're here to talk about it, much like SPD does every cycle. We want to tell you the data that we're gathering. We want to tell you how the progress is going in our quest to save lives. I was telling a story earlier today with some Mass DOT folks about a Ward 4 resident named Marshall Mack, who some of you may have known, who was killed by a hit-and-run driver crossing from Foss Park across McGrath to go grocery shopping at the Stop and Shop in summer of 2021. These are preventable tragedies, and for too long our society has said it's inevitable. Oh, somebody's going to get run over. The pedestrian should have been wearing brighter colors. The pedestrian shouldn't have been looking at their phone. I would argue that actually the onus is on the driver, and that we need to design and manage streets in a way that people can drive slowly and safely, because I'm sick and tired of talking to victims' families. 6 residents of our community have died in just the last 5 years in preventable, fatal pedestrian crashes. So with that, let me give you a little picture of how our average year works. We help other departments deliver a whole bunch of outcomes for our community. Everybody wants to say, please pave more streets. We agree. We've scaled up our paving programs that are led by our engineering team. We used to pave like 1 mile a street per year. Now we're paving 3. And my colleague Brian, who leads our engineering team, said last night that we want to continue growing that and be paving 5 miles a street per year. We are able to construct 2 miles of sidewalk per year. Sidewalks are way trickier and more expensive than you might expect, but it's important that we eliminate trip hazards, we eliminate access barriers. You know, the ADA law was passed 40 years ago, folks, but still, go around Somerville, think about the 3-foot minimum clearance that the federal ADA law runs, and look at trees, look at signs, look at fire hydrants, look at curb cuts. There are far too many places where you can't move a wheelchair, you can't move a scooter, you can't move a stroller. And so when we're rebuilding sidewalks, we're thinking about not just doing the bare minimum, but actually widening them. So you can imagine like walking with 2 people instead of just going single file every time you encounter a tree or a sign. This stuff is complicated, but it's fun and it's important, and our residents tell us they want more of it. We are responsible for planning, communicating, and delivering traffic calming measures. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that more specifically. And some of you who have been at these meetings over the years know that we've been really intentional about growing our programs for speed humps, for raised crosswalks, and raised intersections. These things save lives. And although some folks feel that it's really inconvenient or has the potential to be noisy, I'm here to tell you that they save lives every day in our community. How do we make sure that our work is actually reflecting the people's vision and values, that it's not just some sort of like theoretical thing that's coming from Washington, D.C., or coming from Portland, Oregon, or even Cambridge? We are constantly engaging our community members. My team administers more than 100 outreach events per year, and that's on top of like another 50 city council meetings, committee meetings, and specific project meetings. We do surveys, we do pop-up events in parks, we do tabling at pickup and drop-off hours in our public schools, we do specific visits to senior housing in the faith community. We are constantly trying to broaden the coalition of residents who get involved in transportation policy here. We can always do better, but I just wanted to make sure you folks know that we don't just sit in City Hall making decisions. We are among you all the time. Next slide, please. Okay, so are we getting results? Yeah, the good news is we are. We really are. If you look back at across a decade of crash data, crashes are the most important indicator of risk. Speeding, red light compliance, those are other examples of risk on our streets. But ultimately, let's go to the best data point, which is crashes. So a decade ago, there were more than 500, even 600 crashes reported in Somerville, 4 square miles. 100 miles of road. And these could be minor scale or major scale. But look at this trend line, this big blue line going down after a decade of really systematic and strategic investments in our safety programs. The next slide is going to show you a little bit more detail on the 2 lower lines. Not all crashes are created equal, and a slow speed fender bender, a side swipe in the middle of the night, we don't want these things to happen, but the thing that we're really trying to control for is people walking, people wheeling, people riding bikes getting hit by drivers, and you see downward trends in these indicators too. So again, just look, a decade ago, more than 150 crashes involving injuries, but just last year, gosh, 60% of that number, like these are really meaningful reductions, and they're happening because we're building raised crosswalks, curb extensions, and speed humps in many different Somerville neighborhoods. In fact, one of the hardest parts of our job is speaking with residents and activists who say, I want traffic calming in my neighborhood, and we have to say, we've got like a 12, 18-month, 24-month backlog. That's how long it takes to plan and build. Part of the due diligence process is working with Assistant Chief Tierney in Somerville Fire Department and his colleagues to make sure that things can work for fire and for other emergency response. Part of it is contractors, funding, et cetera. But trust me, there is more demand than capacity to make our streets safer. So here's the product of that evolution. It's one thing to build a single raised intersection. It's another to build up a program that can deliver 50 or 60 or 70 of these things every year. We've got a wonderful staff on my team and in many of our sister agencies, the city's engineering department, the city's parking department, the city's communications department. My good colleague Nick is here with us, constantly talking about construction communications so folks can have an understanding of why certain things are happening or not happening, what the intent is, and how to live through construction. So more to follow. I realize it's getting late and I'm talking a bunch, and I want to be able to answer some questions as well. So I will leave you with a couple of ways to get more information. Remember that these fall community meetings are really intended to be like Reader's Digest, kind of the short version of civics, and then point you to more information to learn more. So if you want to see online where we have built traffic calming in all Somerville neighborhoods, there's an online map available through our Vision Zero website. And you'll see Ward 4 represented in the top there. Jesse Klingon has been a powerful, powerful advocate for making sure that places like Fells Way West, places like Jake Street, places like Heath Street are planned and are traffic calmed because we know how bad the cut-through traffic is in your neighborhoods. On the right side is a monthly newsletter that our department uses to try to make sure that our residents are aware of community meetings, aware of surveys, aware of opportunities where we are doing little like pop-ups, setting up a table, having staff talk to folks on their way to school, door knocking with small business owners, all of the outreach tools that you would expect. And I want to make sure that folks know that we try to represent and serve the full diversity of our community. So we partner with our Office of Immigrant Affairs to make sure that we are doing translated sessions in Creole, in Spanish, in Portuguese, in Nepali. We are really trying to build a big tent here, share information, and serve this large and complex and diverse community. 3 specific Ward 4 engagement opportunities and active projects. You can find flyers over here. Hopefully many of you have been involved in the Western Pearl Street planning. So we've been working on this for about a year. We're really excited to bring those sidewalks into compliance with ADA. We're really excited for traffic calming and raised crosswalks as part of that rebuild in the Gilman Square portion of Ward 4. We just launched a section of Broadway that is kind of on the Ward 5, Ward 4 boundary, kind of coming up to the top of Main Street in Winter Hill. And we just launched a planning and design effort to try to make the community path a little bit safer and more predictable for everybody. So many of us have said we're almost like victims of our own success with community path. There are definitely a lot of people competing for the same space. And when you think about like the Lance Armstrong types with their spandex trying to ride 30 miles out to Bedford, people are trying to walk their dogs too. Kiddos are using their Strider bikes. Seniors are going out for walks. We want to make sure that everybody is using these spaces safely and respectfully. So just yesterday, we had a table, staff talking to people on the path, saying, how can we all do better? Signage, believe it or not, even like little speed bumps for bike riders. So this is intended to just be a quick survey of the work that we do. I'm happy to answer a few questions right now, and then I think we also transition to general Q&A as well, right, Christine? So a couple questions came up earlier. I just want to honor them and address them real quick. We work on development review. The Star Market site goes through rigorous traffic studies, modeling future conditions. So I just wanted to answer that question that came up earlier. There was another question about parking access in the small business districts, not just Winter Hill, but also Davis, Teal, Ball, Union. Our team works on all of those issues to add parking meters, to add loading zones, to add ADA parking spaces. And if some of the safety projects reduce available curb space, we actually try to add it elsewhere, because many of the business districts in Somerville actually have resident-friendly parking regs, meaning like you as a resident, I as a resident could park my car for 3 days straight, right, in a business district. That doesn't generate the turnover that the merchants tell us is important. So we will often try to actually change those out for meters, for commercial loading zones, passenger pickup and drop off, or ADA only spaces as parts of our projects like the ones I just flagged. So again, I wanted to acknowledge the questions and recognize that this stuff is hard. Folks, we have 4 square miles, 80,000 people. Our streets are often only 40 feet from curb to curb. Our sidewalks are often only 4 or 5 feet wide. We want safe, accessible, dignified travel for anybody, no matter how you get around. But there are trade-offs. And part of our role is to try to articulate those in an honest way with our residents if and when we are redesigning our streets. So why don't I wrap up there? Happy to take a couple of questions and invite the rest of staff who might take other questions. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Hey, Brad, Buddy here. Tufts Ave, going from Cross Street over to Washington Street. What's the development there? That's question 1.
Yep.
Question 2 is the lighting on the community path from Gilman Street Bridge over to McGrath. It was on, and now it's off again. And I ride that community path quite frequently.
Buddy, thanks so much. So let me just make sure I captured your questions, because one of them will be like a 311 style maintenance. And which section of the path are the lights out, you said?
It's, I want to say from Gilman Street Bridge over to McGrath. They put in additional lighting along the green line there. So
Yes.
You got that?
Yep.
It was on. I seen a whole team of people all, and I stopped by thanking them all.
Nice.
The next day it's out.
Okay, so project is not done yet. They've been doing the installs, they've been doing the testing, but it's not complete, so it's not turned on yet. But I'm glad you bring that up. One of the things that when Mass DOT and MBTA did the community path, they did some good lighting, and if you ever compare it to like the Minuteman in Arlington, there's no lighting there. It's kind of nuts. So we're lucky that we got some lighting, but there are actually some dark sections, and the one you're talking about is one of the dark sections under McGrath over towards East Somerville Station.
correct.
The city is investing our own money to upgrade that, to keep it safe and usable 12 months a year. Obviously, the days are getting shorter. This is super, super important. And it's important for me, right? So then think about people with different identities, ages, genders. They might feel even less safe in an unlit path. So I'm really proud of the work that we're doing, and just hang in there. Another few weeks, contractor should be done. The second question that you asked, Buddy, was about Tufts Street, I think, right? So Tufts Street in Ward 1, super relevant to a lot of Ward 4 residents, is under construction. It's been part of the city's 5-year repaving and ADA transition plan. The sidewalks there are among the worst in all of Somerville, which is why it got, prioritized for our work. Our contractor just started, but I'm hoping that they're going to make a good bunch of progress over the next 4 or 8 weeks. Realistically, they're going to finish that job, pave that street in the spring. But we did an extensive community process. There are no bike facilities being added. In fact, it's all pedestrian focused on that street. And there's going to be some loading zones and parking access that's actually brought back because that's what the community process asked us to do. So every once in a while, like, bike advocates will be like, why aren't there bike lanes here? Right? To the question earlier, we're like, because we asked our residents what was the priority, and on that street, they said, we just want sidewalks and street trees and traffic calming. So that's how a tough street will look when it's done. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Brad. We are now going to transition into a general Q&A for the last 10 or 15 minutes or so of the meeting. If you are a city staffer, I would ask that you prepare yourself to answer questions because I will call names. So if you have a question, please raise your hand and I can run the microphone over.
Thanks. I'd like to thank Councilor Struzzo and Councilor Klingon and also the mayor for responding to my request last week. So I live very close. Actually, I bought the Edward Leathers Park, which is just behind the high school, and there's been a significant uptick in drug use in that area on the corner of Walnut Street and Pearl Street, and then also in that park. I have noticed that there's been additional police coming by, so I do thank you for that. But I'm just wondering, is the request that the residents call every single time you suspect that somebody's high there? Is that the safety, or is there some other plan?
Hi all, I'm Louisa. I think I'm the parks lady, but I think this is a police question. And the question is, I think you're talking about Ed Leathers Park, that there's more drug use there. I think, yes, you should call when you see illegal activity. I think they agree with me. They're not.
Yeah, no, I think, but just to speak to your question, I mean, it's very tricky when you're dealing with public property. These are public parks. People have a right to access these areas. So, I'm not sure what a solution. I mean, we have a surveillance ordinance. Like, we could put a camera there temporarily for some period of time and let people know that it's being surveilled. But I mean, long term, I'll let the police give you an official answer. But I'm just saying, I know that it's probably pretty challenging when you have public space to be able to keep people out of it and, regulate behavior within that space. So that's the unfortunate one.
So what I would tell you, we just recently have gotten reports from Ed Leathers Park. And, and we have dedicated resources to the area officers have gone by there. Anytime you were in the park and you don't feel safe, call us. We will go down. If someone is just, we will try and interact with them, engage in them. If they need services, we'll do our best to get them services. If there is illegal activity going on, we'll do our best to correct that. But anytime you're in the park and you do not feel safe, or you're in the area you don't feel safe, call us. Okay? What's that? Absolutely. We've just, maybe it was you who called, but we have been getting recent reports of activity in the park. The park, because it's so close in proximity to the high school, we have had a camera there. I honestly don't know right now if it's still there. It's a movable camera that we move throughout the city for specific areas that we feel as though necessary we have maybe drug activity, but we have recently been paying attention to it, and we do a lot more direct patrols. I can have some of our officers do their park walk and talks at Leathers, and what that is like I explained earlier, is that they'll park their car, the cruiser will be there, they'll get out, they'll walk around, they'll talk to people, they'll engage with people, they'll offer them services. Unfortunately, sometimes the people don't want the services that we can get them, but we'll do our best that we can. If it's an emergency, if you feel unsafe, if you're in an unsafe situation, call 911. If it's not an emergency, you can call the 1212 line, and we'll send our area cars there. Does that answer your question as best? Okay.
I think we have time for a few more questions. Does anybody have one? No? Going once? Okay, I think we're good. We've reached the end of the meeting. Thank you guys all so much for coming out tonight. It's much appreciated. If you want copies of tonight's slide deck, they are over on that table there on this row. And again, thank you for coming. Have a great night.